up, everybody? Arun here from Incentivio with Data Delicacies. Excited to share a quick highlight reel with some of our favorite episodes. Hard to believe we've been over 30 episodes launched this year. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, for our guests that jumped on. I've learned a lot. Hopefully you all have as well as audience. I've had a lot of people reach out. Great conversations coming from this. And really the goal was this, to get the best and brightest in the industry to talk all things hospitality, all things data, all things tech. And it's been a fun ride. And as we've seen a lot of changes in the industry, I think we've captured a lot of that in the episode. So we wanted to highlight some of our favorite ones. So first up, we have Jason from Botrista. And we talk about the importance of automation at scale and how to test that model out. So tune in and listen to the recap from Jason. You talked about how robotics and kind of automation, to a certain extent, it works, right? And you've talked about stories of people that have tried fully automated places that didn't work.
Yeah.
Talk about kind of what that good blend you're seeing is between where we're at now and full automation, and what's made you guys so successful, like kind of deploying that model across all the different locations you work with today.
Yeah, so part of our founding story, and I didn't tell this part, but part of it was that when Sean first started working on Botrista, he did a fully automated boba tea shop, right? So he did the arms, like everything, that grabs the cup, grabs ingredient, like the fully automated. They are out there, right? But he did this, and this was 2018 or 17 that he did the fully automated boba tea shop, and he learned very quickly. And when he tells the story, his eyes light up, because he learned. You can see, like, in him thinking about it, he learned, like, this isn't going to scale, right? This, not anytime soon, at least, right? So the how much the cost of it, the maintenance of it, right? The time it took to do it, like, it does work out there. Like, people say, well, there's places doing it. There are places doing it now, with no doubt about it. The point on automation, which we found, was that to scale effectively and add value to the operations and have it be, economically make sense and meet the expectations of quality and speed of service, Sean ended up actually bringing the cup to the automation. So for this, everything goes in the blender, and then we pour the blender. So we have almost fully automated, but someone's got to pour it out into a cup, which eliminated a lot of the unscalable part of the early days. So, I think for me, automation, as a restaurant executive, and for Sean as a founder of Botrista, we want it to be scalable. So, I think that there's automation right now that is just way too early, and it's cool and it's fun and it should be pursued, but it's not going to go into 1,000 units in 6 months. I spoke on a panel 6 months ago, and I won't mention the who because it doesn't matter, but on the panel, I was the only executive leading an automated company that actually scaled. Everything else was super cool, and it's going to be absolutely successful in the future. It's just some things aren't ready yet. So, but if you look at other industries, I mean, the restaurant industry is always behind in everything. There's reasons for that, but there will be a time where many restaurants are fully automated, and it's scalable. They're definitely out there right now. I was at the airport last night, and there was a fully automated kiosk for pizza. What brand I've never heard of. It was very early days for them, and they just were installing, and it's cool to see it. And there's plenty out there already that we can talk about, and them that are scaling. There's a handful of food companies right now, split across universities, that are doing really well with self-service food kiosks, right? But for me, I've got to divide between what's scalable, what actually is working now and adding value, and what is new and what actually will evolve in the future. So
and it's interesting because I think that what we would consider maybe conceptual or maybe gimmicky now and realistic and scalable. I feel like those lines, it's coming closer and closer together, right? I mean, a lot of stuff was like super far away. Like you'd see it on a movie and you're like, oh, well, this is going to be like Blade Runner, like 100 years from now.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming so close.
It is. Yeah.
Timing and how you present it, I think, too, is so important, because it's only going to be a matter of time with everything shifting so quickly. Next up, we have Mateen from GoTab, and we talk about the evolving nature of hybrid dining, especially after the pandemic. Consumers' needs have changed quite dramatically, and our expectations are higher than ever. So what does that mean, the rise of experiential dining, and what operators need to do to make sure that their restaurants are captivating enough and get people to come back over and over again. Kind of first start with this rise in food halls and hybrid service models. Like, how have you seen that evolution, and how do you see things continue to evolve over the next few years?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And I think in my experience, what we've seen is the restaurant industry has taken some big hits, especially since COVID. This gets talked about a lot, I'm sure, but rising cost of goods, rising labor. I mean, it's the forefront of everyone's mind, and so I think that just naturally the way the industry is sort of trended, especially after COVID, was toward an experiential component to the dining experience. I think new venues opening up, at least sort of where we're focused, is on that experiential dining segment, whether that's entertainment, food halls, etc. And so I think because of all the issues that operators are facing right now, hybrid service in general has become almost a necessity. Either you're going to have some sort of experiential component to the dining experience that draws people in beyond just great food, because most areas that you go to right now, you can find great food. And so is it enough to just be a restaurant that serves great food? Sometimes, but I think oftentimes you kind of need something else there. Whether that's fine dining is experiential dining in my mind as well, or there's some sort of, again, something that draws people together and enables them to have a more present experience than just coming to sit and eat.
Next up, we have Patrick from Nigel Point of Sale, and we chatted about the way point of sale has changed over the last few decades in this industry, from being a very legacy type of platform that has a moat that makes operators choose different functionality that only fits within their ecosystem, to now players like Nigel that have come in and really give operators that optionality to go out and find best of breed platforms that connect well with what they're using today. How do you see that change happening, right? Because I think one of the things that we've noticed on our side is that there are so many other niche parts of the ecosystem that point of sales maybe don't solve. And then now restaurants are going to have to go out and go to a vendor A, B, C, and D for all these different things, which again, it just becomes another sales cycle they have to go through, another platform, another integration, right? So how are you seeing kind of that involvement of what point of sale can offer, and where you think it should go as the next few years of this industry pass by?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And you would probably, if you asked 10 people, I bet you'd probably get at least 9 or 10 different answers, right, of where they think that's going to go. In my version of that crystal ball, I think you are going to see some more BYOD. You're going to see some more bring your own device sort of things, where people are trying to encourage guests to bring their own devices into the ordering fray, whether that's off-prem and coming to on-prem. I think we've already seen the introduction of more tabletop hardware to kind of I'll say kind of stand up some of the other legacy technologies that have been out there for a while that don't have that table experience. Certainly, we've all seen a number of checkout with the QR code sort of things and stuff like that, where you always talk about whether it's a software play or a hardware play or something like that. But it truthfully, if you get right down to it, it's really they're all covering on the surface the underlying issue, which is that a lot of our larger brands in the restaurant industry are still stuck on some older legacy point of sale systems that need to be upgraded. And with COVID and everything that happened during that time frame, all of the new technology that we rolled out into the field was done with probably a little bit less training than we would have liked to, since we couldn't get out into the field to do the training appropriately. So I think what we're seeing right now is you have a lot of legacy hardware sitting out in the stores with some newer technology that's software or a slight little bit of hardware addition to them that are trying to be sort of propped up right now. And I think we're at a really precarious point in this decision-making line, where some groups are going to have to make that initial hardware decision and start to go with some other systems. So at Nigel, the way that we've kind of looked at that is, let's make sure that we're building the very, very best hardware platform that we can put inside of the locations and couple that with the appropriate software so that it's effectively gives you kind of the tank and the resiliency that you've had with the hardware that we're in the hardware purchases that we were used to for yesteryear of a point of sale system with all of the latest and greatest new web technologies. With one big difference, we're not necessarily trying to say that you have to be using all of our software, all of our full tech stack, all of our full, and we see a lot of groups who do that with their point of sale system where they're trying to say you have to use our back office or our payment processing or our something, whatever. With Nigel, we want you to control your own technology stack, right? So what we want to do is offer a really, really great point of sale system that lets you build that tech stack and be nimble as the market changes because there's no way that my crystal ball is that much sharper than anyone else's, right? So what we can offer is a better way to make you more nimble in the equation as we're going through this. That way, you're not finding yourself stuck on some older legacy hardware or something down the lines, or paying through the nose to get all of these new systems integrated. The open API architecture comes in to help you there.
And finally, we have Justin from eVocalize, a marketing guru who shared a lot of cool thoughts about how you can spread your marketing dollars across different cities, not just the major metros where we see most folks spend most of their marketing dollars, where you can get some ROI, but really the high value ROI comes from some of the smaller cities that are really lacking that personalized marketing. Check out to see what Justin has to say about this.
Customer attraction, customer retention, right? It's becoming such a competitive space for a lot of spots, especially like QSRs, FSRs, limited service. How do they really differentiate themselves using local digitized marketing?
I think, so a couple things. I will start by saying, a lot of folks, they think marketing, certain types of marketing or certain tactics or approaches could be kind of a silver bullet, and it's not. I think if it's worth noting that my recommendation as a marketer would be ensure that your experience and everything is nailed down within the four walls of your business at each of your location. You want to make sure that you're providing a solid experience. You're serving up great food, great customer service, great hospitality. Because if you think about once you start throwing dollars at something or marketing energy towards something, you're just going to amplify what is currently happening. So if you're offering a crummy experience, you're going to get a lot more people in to, experience something that's less than ideal. But if you get it in order and then you start putting marketing efforts towards something, then you can start driving people towards an awesome experience, great food, great hospitality, great service, all those things, which generate more positive reviews and get more and more traction. And it's just a snowball that keeps rolling. In terms of examples of how folks do things well, we've got an incredible partner in Tzatziki's. I know probably a lot of you listening, Julie Wade, who she's a fantastic human being, lots of fun. She's at all the shows, but also understands marketing. And she leverages our platform to rely on data. So one of the cool things that they do is they can take, like they had an LTO. They wanted to see how shawarma would perform, falafel would perform in their different markets. So in order to test it, they had a goal of like selling 8 units per location per day. And they leveraged our platform to push out ads, and they drove sales of 14 units per location per day. And, one of the quotes that someone on Julie's team said, to us, she's like, that's a crap ton of falafel. Like if you don't know how much falafel it is, it's a crap ton. Another cool thing they're doing is they're leveraging our tech as well to look at their year-over-year weekly comps. So they're checking out sales volume last week compared to the year before, and for the locations that are underperforming according to expectations, they automatically launch ads around those areas, pushing that new item. It's no longer an LTO. It's now a new item on their menu with falafel. And they're actually driving 30% increase in incremental sales around the locations that actually need it. So the takeaway there is if you think of digital marketing at a high level, typically people run national campaigns. It's relatively much easier to execute. when you start throwing a lot of money in a platform, if you look at it from the platform's perspective, they want to spend as much money as possible because they get a percent of every dollar spent on the platform. So think Google, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all these platforms, they make money off of the dollars that are spent. So if they can spend money faster, they can bring in more revenue for them. And so the algorithms are created to best serve the platform and thus drive more spend in high population areas. So think of the big metros, New York, Chicago, LA, places like that. They could spend dollars relatively quickly and make more revenue off those dollars spent. But the locations that are really struggling in Des Moines or small town USA that really need the marketing love. And by the way, these are probably folks like your Z's who may be putting their own dollars into a marketing co-op that's being spent to serve another market, and they're not getting any of the love. That's aggravating. So leveraging a technology that actually spends within each market when it's actually needed is super impactful, not only to your Z's, they're going to love you for it, because now you're actually driving meaningful business to them when they need it most, but then you're also driving overall revenue and performance, on average across your system.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. For all those that tuned in, thanks for checking in Data Delicacies. If you want to be part of the conversation, reach out to me, reach out to Justin, comment on our podcast. We post every Wednesday. Everywhere you can get access to the podcast will be on there. And if you're interested in being on the show, please reach out to me directly at arun@incentivio.com. In the meantime, this was powered by Incentivio. I'm your host, Justin. Thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Thanks for having me.